How do, folks? We've just slid into the latter half of November, and although the air temperatures are quite mild for the time of year, the dead bracken, the field firs on the berries in the trees, everything's pointing to the end of the year now. I'm currently walking in the northeastern section of the Peak District, and I'm going to do a wild camp just sort of in this vicinity. I'm not sure where yet. I've got a couple of options. Obviously I've got to watch the hours of daylight, but sort of what I've got in mind. It's not a massive walk, I should have plenty of time really. Quite early on in the walk, but this could be my last chance to get some water, so I'm going to stock up here. You can tell I'm back in Peak District, can't you, looking at that water. It's not that crystal clear stuff that we're getting at Thowgills. Well, I've stocked up on my water and now I've got to get up that hillside somewhere. It looks pathless as well, it looks like it's going to be a bit of a struggle really. Lots of deep dead bracken, big tufts of heather, boulders. But yeah, I need to get up there, so I'll crack on. It's hard work this. Just dead bracken, it like wraps around your ankles. And the windbreak, even though all the leaves has gone off it, tough walking through it. Look at this big lump of gritstone here. It's like a blue whale's head coming out of the sea. I'm going to call it the whale stone from now on. See if I can get it on the maps. Right, it's just after 1 o'clock. It's my dinner time. I'm sat on Raven Rocks, and just up there is the highest point on this moor, which is West Nab, exactly 500 metres. Now, I don't know what to do camping wise. I've got about 3 hours till sunset. I would like to stay up here, but I know there's a nice place a bit further on in a clough that comes off the moor top. There's a nice flat spot, so I don't know. That'll give me a lot of shelter because it's quite windy. But I do like it up here. I've never camped up here. One little caveat with staying up here, I'm quite close to a road, and also I'm adjacent to a grouse moor. And when I was coming up here, I had to just be a bit stealthy because the gamekeeper's digs is not far away, and I was just trying to keep out of sight of that really. So I'm going to have something to eat, like I said, and we'll go up to the top of West Nab, and then I'll give it some more thought. I'm just having a shufty for short-eared owls. Oh, I can see Studley Pike. Yeah, I've seen them a few times on and off on these moors. Not for a year or two. Oh no, actually, when I camped not too far from here in the spring, there were that one calling. It's very windy though. I don't think they like windy conditions. It affects their ability to hunt. Oh, it's a bit chilly. As you can see, it is very windy. I've checked the weather. Can't get a signal at this spot, but I had a bit of a wander and I got a signal. Check the weather. Look at that lantern swinging about. And it said it could get up to gusts of 34 mile an hour during the night. So we'll have to see. I've took some gust readings round here. And the highest it got up to were about 24. So yeah, it's pretty windy. Well, that's 2 hours down in the tent. Only another 13 or so to go. I'm feeling quite bored, as you can probably tell. So, what happened with my pitch today? Well, I pitched high up. I decided, once I got to the top of West Nab, I just couldn't be bothered losing the height again to the other place I had in mind. So I stayed up there, but it was really windy on the summit. So I had a scout about amongst the rocks, and I weren't totally happy with any of the places, so I've come slightly down in the direction of Wessendon. Yeah, the upper end of Wessendon Valley. I'm not too far from the top of West Nab, and I've found a little sort of cleft between the rocks. It's still very windy. I tried to find some that are a bit more sheltered. I don't think I've succeeded really, but it's not a bad spot. When I were doing a bit of research on this area before, I came across, I'm just sort of glancing down now, I came across a poem that were written, I don't know, in the early 1800s by a fella called Ebenezer Goode. No, not Ebenezer Goode, that was a Shaman song, if you remember that. Ebenezer Elliott, he was a corn law rhymer from Yorkshire. Not exactly sure, Barnsley I think. And I were rooting around, like I said, on the internet trying to find out a bit more about West Nab, and I found this poem, and in it he mentions all the main tops of the Peak District, and even a hill up near me. I'm just going to read it to you now. I've got it written down on a scrap of paper. The poem is called The Year of Seeds, and the bit that I really like says, "All hail West Nab, Great Kinder, Blakelow Scar, Stanage, Winhill, storms Blackstone from afar." Now, interestingly, well, interesting to me, Blakelow Scar I think's Bleaklow. So I wonder if once upon a time Bleaklow were Blakelow. And West Nab is spelt, well, the Nab bit is K-N-A-B as opposed to N-A-B as it is on the maps now. But what I like about it mentions Blackstone. There's a lot of Blackstones in Peak District, but I like to think it's Blackstonedge near me. Oh yeah, nice little poem. I quite like stuff like that.
We got 3 managers with their first games this weekend. Stephen Gerrard, Eddie
Howard. It's quite late, 25 past 12, and this wind is showing no sign of settling at all. I ain't gonna get any sleep in this. I don't sleep well at best of times, but God and Benny, this is going to be a nightmare. I've got the earplugs, but they ain't going to make a jot of difference, I don't think. Right, well, I'm going to turn in. I'm going to lie down and just listen to the wind for hours, no doubt.
but I'll speak to you when it's light in the morning. Good night. Morning. It's just turned 5:30. Well, what an horrendous night. This wind has just not let up at all. In fact, if anything, it's intensifying. I'm just debating what to do. It's not going to be proper daylight for another couple of hours. And I don't fancy sitting here for 2 hours in this. But the alternative of like packing down in dark, even with an head torch and that sounds pretty grim as well. I'm going to sit it out a bit longer and just see what happens. You know, you can pick this up on the GoPro, but that groove in the field just above my finger there, that's a ditch. We've got an Iron Age structure in these fields here. It has been excavated. They reckon it's not a settlement, but it's an Iron Age stock enclosure. But there is a settlement just a few fields away at Oldfield Hall. So yes, I was expecting something a bit more impressive than this groove in a field, but yeah, this is it. It's marked on the map, a place called Royd Edge. Right folks, I'm done there I think. I'm just on the descent down into Meltham, not far to go, where I parked the car. Well, what an experience that was. I think that was my most unsettling night under canvas, that. I'll be honest, there were times when I were getting quite concerned with the wind. This morning when I got up, I stepped outside and took the wind speed, it'd be about 7:30 then, and it was sort of constant in the high 20 mile an hour and gusting to just shy of 37 mile an hour, and at 5:30 it were worse. So I'm assuming it got over 40 mile an hour. Yeah, quite fraught at times. Surprisingly, I did manage to get a little bit of sleep, better than I have when it's calm sometimes. But yeah, my strategy for dealing with like scary winds like that at 5:30 was bury myself in my sleeping bag and pretend it's not happening. Anyway, there's a bloke coming here and I look like a bit of an airbag talking to this, so I'll stop there and look after yourselves, and I'll see you next time.